Hello, dear friends. Here we are. Can you believe it? We are 14 days away from the 12th United States Spiritist Symposium. I know it's unbelievable. I agree with you. It's beautiful. It's joyful. I cannot, I cannot even imagine the works in the spiritual realm. They must be at this point very intense, which is great. And on the material plane, we know there are many people already preparing themselves for this beautiful togetherness, right? And today we are meditating on some of the workshops and the roundtable discussions that are going to happen in this symposium. The United States Spiritist Symposium is unique and certainly something to be modeled around the world. And we say this first and foremost, and allow me just to share this with friends. Um, the reason why I say this is because not only the talks are um, shorter, the round tables are very dynamic. We have parallel meetings for children and youth. And though there are several meetings similar to this, but in the United States, we balance it out. We always bring new speakers, new volunteers, and the meeting flows from one state to another, different cities. So it's very, very dynamic. From the day it started in 2007 in Baltimore, Maryland, to this year, the 12th edition of it in the capital of the United States of America, which is really a joy. It's a joy, it's an honor, and more than that, it's a way for us to help the world by praying the very capital of the United States of America. To talk about this and much more, we have here special friends who are coming to this moment together. Carol and Mark Smith are here with us. How are you, friends?
Hello,
Very well.
friends. We
Thank
are
you.
honored to be here.
You're excited. How are you feeling? Excited about it, Mark?
Oh, very much. What I'm really excited about this symposium is it feels a little bit more practical. I
Yeah.
guess the American side of me, but as much as I sometimes appreciate the theoretical stuff, it's kind of nice to think about the fact that every talk this year is going to be focused around a thematic focus that is immediately applicable to one's life, whether or to others' lives, whether that's mental health. We can focus on issues that are really important to us that will make a difference in our lives, and we can immediately take practically. The Educators Forum that's coming, it's going to be really exciting. It's a unique opportunity for people doing the work of education in English to get together to talk about what they're doing. Because the fact of the matter is, our context in the United States, and I guess I can include Canada in that as well if we want, but our context is different than what's happening in Brazil. We're not going to be applying the education work of Febby and taking it and translating it into English and using the same materials than the United States. It's really exciting to think about the fact that we have people coming together, educators coming together and talking about their practice. When else do we have the time to do that? Never. So this is very exciting.
Yes, I agree with you. And that's a very good take on it. We're not copycatting from anything. We're creating something very original that is culturally fit and also very empowering to our movement. Though it's good to be connected to the movement around the world, but as everything we do in America, we learn that we have our own, we have to take care of our own lands.
Yeah.
And nobody can do this better than ourselves.
Yeah.
And if God placed us here, it's for us to take the lead on it. Right, Carol? How about you? How do you feel about it?
I feel that it's an honor to work together with the mentors of those very lands, as you have said, to materialize their will for us here in the United States and to give the Spiritist movement their soul, the soul of the founding mothers and fathers of this country, under the banner of fraternity, equality, and charity, guided by the Christ. Imagine how joyful the founding fathers and mothers of this country must be that we are holding the first Spiritist Symposium in the history of the United States in Washington, D.C. How exciting is that? It's like our movement is gaining another identity, a more robust identity for the United States and for those who in this reincarnation are blessed with the opportunity to be Americans. I'm not talking about nationality per se, because we as spirits don't have nationalities. But if Christ placed us here, it's because we are here to learn the values that a certain nation embodies, and we are here to serve this nation in the name of the Christ. So what an honor! We are part of a history-making moment in the Spiritist movement. I'm so excited. As you can see, I can't even contain myself.
And we have all the reasons to be excited. And, Carol, as Mark mentioned already as well, this symposium especially brings everything that we need, a little bit of every daily question that we may have from, for example, family to the loss of loved ones, family planning, human equality, hope, peacemaking skills, mental health, and we have also mediumship, sexuality, educators workshop, and also the activities for children. So we are talking about essential elements in our everyday life. And Mark, especially when we talk about mental health, you're going to be moderating a roundtable that is titled Balancing Physical and Mental Health to Achieve Wellness. Luis Lima, Julio Carvalho, and I are going to share the Spiritist studies on it, and you're going to be moderating on it. Nowadays, as you know, in this world, more than ever, people are talking about mental illness awareness, the importance of understanding mental illness without prejudices, talking about it, and bringing forth new strategies to cope with anxiety, depression, stress, panic attacks, which are the most common in the world nowadays. So what would you like to share for those who are watching us, and as a teaser or two, telling them about, the importance of this roundtable?
Well, I mean, Spiritism is going to provide us with an understanding of mental illness and of the general emotional and problems of daily modern life. But it's going to provide it in a way, give us a framework, I think, which no other framework, I think, can provide us, which is an understanding of how we are all interconnected. We are all living in a certain type of, not just society, but to go even further, we're connected with the spirit realm as well. And this extra element, or this extra layer of understanding, of understanding our connection to the higher realms can really guide us to transforming ourselves. It's self-transformative. If we think about how we think about our relationship with our guardian angel, our relationship with the good spirits, the connection we have in understanding obsession, ways we understand fundamental issues of mental illness is radically transformative. In thinking about ways in which mental illness is sometimes described, without that moral, spiritual understanding, and that understanding of how we have become, in a way, we're connected. Our physical and mental health are connected to the way that we have made choices in our lives that have connected us to particular types of, let's say, types of spirits that are driven for particular types of actions and may create addictions and other types of dependencies, whether that's alcohol, sex, drugs, shopping. It's to me it's fascinating because no other philosophy really helps us to understand the full spectrum of how we can make a change in our lives and fundamentally transform ourselves. But we have to have this guy here. That's why he's behind us.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. It's this guy that's our model right there. And without him, we don't have the ability to transform ourselves to the same extent. We might be able to help alleviate our anxiety, but we're not going to really be able to fundamentally transform ourselves and to be able to understand the power of self-transformation without spiritism. I really believe that. And I think that's what I hope that the enlightened answer will be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. As Mentor Joseph was mentioning today to me, he was like, there is no way to achieve true self-love without loving God. Because no matter how hard you try to love yourself and to love yourself and to love yourself, if there is no real foundation for it beyond yourself, you don't love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's because of God that we learn to love ourselves. And that's exactly what you said. Jesus came to teach us that, to teach us exactly that without God, we cannot move forward. Without God, we cannot even love ourselves. I love myself because I'm a child of God, right?
Right.
I am a child of God.
I
I am a child of God. We reincarnated to learn to do good,
with
right?
Jesus.
With Jesus. And the first good is really active.
Yeah.
It's really active to do good. There's this big discussion in the Spiritist movement because in the Spirit's book, the Spirits mention that often the forces of ignorance, they are very bold, and those who are already some form conscientious, they are more timid. But if you see deeply into the question, when you really feel the good, you're no longer timid.
No. Like
Mm.
Jesus said, the trademark of the follower of the good news, the trademarks rather, are joy, hope, and
And
courage.
courage.
He,
Chapter 8 of the book Good News.
yes, he
Mm.
gave us the recipe:
Mm.
joy, hope, and courage.
Mm. Mm.
Exactly. Right? And this is the foundation of our true wellness. Wellness. And talking about wellness, we know it doesn't begin when we're adults. Everything begins when we're children, and we learn in Spiritism how important it is to focus on childhood, to focus on educating children. And this has been our core effort ever since a teenager in this life, and in the Spirit side of Baltimore, in the Spiritist side of Virginia. Cardiac Radio has Cardiac Radio for kids and for teens. And here you are, guys, and you, Carol, are going to participate in a workshop that talks about exploring techniques to teaching Spiritism to children and youth. You want to give our friends here a teaser about the importance of this workshop?
Of course, we are being invited by the mentors of the symposium and the U.S. Spiritist Federation to remind ourselves, first and foremost, that children are only children physically, right? They are, in fact, millennial spirits that have a mission given by the Christ, and they are reincarnating for a purpose and with a purpose that, as St. Augustine says in the chapter Honor Your Father and Mother in the Gospel according to Spiritism, is to love and serve God. So we are going to go from this very principle that we are not dealing with children, though they look like children. We are dealing with millennial spirits that deserve respect. And as St. Augustine guides us in the Gospel according to Spiritism, it is our duty before God as educators and as parents to recognize our these millennial spirits' moral ethical tendencies and boost the moral ethical tendencies that are already going vertically towards God, and help them work through the challenges that they may still face because they are spirits in progress. So it's our responsibility to look at them as millennial spirits, like Professor Euripides Bassanufo recommends so beautifully that we do. So we are going to give a very brief introduction to these principles that are at the core of our belief system given to us by the Christ. And then we are going to have lots of fun and learning because we are going to actually implement a lesson with the educators. So our hope is that they feel it. Because as Jesus said to Nicodemus, it's not enough to know, we must feel the scriptures. So we are going to share a little bit of what we know, and then we are going to experience a lesson together. So Bernadette Leal and myself are going to implement a lesson on kindness and compassion meant for children, and we are going to invite the educators in the audience to take the role of children, and they're actually going to experience the lesson. And Lígia Carvalho as well as Alba Morales are going to implement another lesson for educators who are currently working with teenagers. And then, if time allows, we will switch so both groups of educators experience a little bit of the reality of working with children and teenagers all together.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful.
We are super excited.
And for those who have not registered yet, here is the link, spiritistsymposium.org.
Great.
You know, and we would say if you're looking for hotels in Washington, D.C., and you find them expensive because it's around the corner, book hotels nearby, like in Northern Virginia, which has like several metro stations, and you don't need even to depend on anybody, and you're gonna cut the cost by half, to say the least, by doing so. You don't need to stay in Washington, D.C. Because I know people are saying, I want to go, but the hotels, don't worry, there are hotels nearby. You don't need to be around the corner.
Right.
You can be just like a metro station away and in a good hotel, but not very expensive, actually very inexpensive. We've seen several, and we would really encourage you. And you know, of all things we do in our daily lives, this is probably, I wouldn't say probably, it's an investment in our immortality. These
Yeah.
are memorable days for immortality, right?
Right. When
Absolutely.
else do we get to spend a whole day
Yeah.
receiving so many enlightened answers to the daily questions that are inside of our hearts and minds? When else, through a spiritist transformative, as Mark said, framework that we can take on with us for immortality, because we never lose what we learn. When the body dies, everything stays except what we learned. So this is still
Exactly.
something that we will never lose. We shall never lose what we learn.
And talking about questions,
Yes.
here is the immortal question from the Living Spring. I'm going to ask our dear Mark to read for us chapter 112 from the book Living Spring by Emmanuel, Immortal Wisdom. What am I to do?
What am I to do?
Wow.
Yeah.
What am I to do? Do you come to the symposium or not? So let's see what Paul and Emmanuel are going to say, right, Mark?
That's right, because Paul said that too. What am I to do? Okay. Thousands of people approach the gospel for the inveterate worship of self indulgence. How can I stay in control? Some ask. How can I relax? Inquire others. And the questions keep multiplying, strange, reproachful, incomprehensible. There are those who ask for cheap comfort while in the flesh, those who demand undue affections, those who long for unconfessable businesses, those who demand resources to make serving peace and the good more difficult. The question of the Apostle Paul at the moment he is blessed by the divine presence is the standard for all learners and followers of the good news. The great laborer for the revelation does not ask to be transferred from earth to heaven, nor does he degenerate into suggestions of favoritism for his personal circle. He does not ask to be exempt from responsibility, nor does he flee the duties of the struggle. What am I to do? He asked Jesus, grasping the importance of the effort for which he would be responsible. And the master tells him to get up and sow light and love through selflessness. If you have been called to the faith, do not ask the divine guide for privileges and benefits that may justify your remaining in spiritual stagnation. With the Lord, let us seek the endeavor that his infinite goodness has reserved for us, and let us proceed triumphantly towards our sublime renewal. Wow. There you go.
Wow.
That's what we need. And talking about renewal, can't forget to say that on April 18th, for the second year in a row, the Cardiac Radio and the United States Spiritist Federation are celebrating the National Day of Spiritism. It's when Kardec published the Spirit's book, April 18th. And if you, who is watching us, no matter where you are in the world, you want to participate, you just send your prayer or read a message and say a prayer, whatever it is. And we're going to broadcast 24 hours prayers from everyone who would like to participate. So where do you send to? I think, Sergio, if you're here with us, please type it in the email. If we forget, next tomorrow we'll remind you, but you can send to kardecradio@gmail.com and we'll take care of it as well with the United States Spiritist Federation. Okay? So, friends, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
There is a lot of work ahead of us. We would say more than ever, as the world is really changing, things are really happening around the world. We need to be more than ever um, conscientious about what we're doing, because it looks like the expiration date for making right decisions has already come.
Agreed.
The
Yes.
Mm.
deadline. There's no longer a
No,
day. No, this
no.
is it.
This is
If
it.
you're, yeah,
Sublime
this is it.
renewal,
Yeah.
sublime redemption, and
Yeah.
sublime renewal. This is it.
Exactly. That's what it is. So, Sergio, thank you so much. info@spiritist.us. Send your, you can record in your iPhone, in your any phone. Send it to this email. You don't need to edit anything. I mean, do your best, because it's not easy to edit a million files. We did it last year, but it's not easy. So we would say, read in and out, play it, send it, and you are partaking in this beautiful feast of the National Day of Spiritism, okay? For us now, what do we need? Prayer. Now, right? We need prayers. Prayers, because praying for people who are sad today for whatever reason.
Right.
Prayers for people who are feeling defeated. Prayer for people who are being enslaved in any way and form.
Sure.
People who are starving physically or emotionally.
Mhm.
Prayers for people who are being obsessed or
Yeah.
who are obsessing
Right.
or obsessing others, incarnated or discarnated, and especially prayers for this event come true,
Right.
peace, harmony, serenity. And I would say this, more important than anything else, it reminds me of André Luiz in his books, like the book In the Realms of Mediumship or The Missionaries of the Light, when he mentioned about the whole preparation in the spiritual realm and how much the mediums were not prepared and could not deliver a tenth of the plan that they
Oh,
had prepared.
yes, you're right.
So we don't want to be held accountable for not delivering the 100% that they're expecting. And when I hear people saying, oh, but Vanessa, we're imperfect, it doesn't matter. Where there is a will, there's a way. Who is willing to do their best? Raise your hands. Right? And I know people here, I can feel everybody who is watching is also feeling the same. They wouldn't
Absolutely.
be here.
God is unconditionally, right?
Yes.
All we have to do is to allow God's love to flow through us.
Yep. So let's invite everybody for the prayer. I'd like to ask Carol to help us with the prayer.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. So we are ready for the prayer.
Beloved Master Christ Jesus, we thank you so much for your loving presence amongst us. For you have said, whenever there are two or more people united in my name, I shall there be. So we welcome you to the realms of our hearts. Most especially, we welcome you into the works of the good in all areas of the world, but most especially in the Spiritist movement of the United States of America. I know we were called by you to love, serve, and learn. So we pray humbly, beloved Master, for us to be willing to fulfill God's will. Please kindly dissolve any barriers of resistance that out of ignorance we may still harvest in our hearts. Let us be courageous, hopeful, and faithful towards you as you are towards us. Let us allow our souls to become soils of your loving harvest. Please lovingly and kindly continue to transform us so we can be better instruments, beloved Christ, of God's loving will for each and every one of us. Let us pray for all the spirits, incarnates and discarnates alike, who are suffering because of harvesting wars inside of themselves and outside of themselves. Let us offer them a beautiful white rose, filled with the perfume of fraternal love and understanding, helping them and allowing them to connect their hearts to yours and to understand that to become a peacemaker is an honor that you have bestowed upon us. Prince of Peace, Prince of Love, spread your light towards Washington, D.C., towards the location of the symposium. Unite the hearts of all the incarnate servers, workers who are committed to the symposium so that we may be 100% connected to the mentors. Help us, Lord, to be grateful to you every step of the way. Dear Lord, inspire us and offer your kind embrace to all of those who may be crying internally out of sadness, to all of those who may be overwhelmed by loneliness, to all of those who may be obsessing others in both realms of life, seeking for justice in their own ways. Help us see divine justice and divine love manifesting within us in every step we take. Guide us, beloved Master, to serve you all the more, and may we have the privilege of not carrying the title of Christians per se, but of being Christians through our actions and thoughts, feelings and words, first and foremost. Thank you, Master, infinitely for being our Lord. Bless the lands of the United States of America and guide us in the days that are still to come to this beautiful symposium that is being realized because of God's love and God's will. So be it.
Thank you, Kara and Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends. And for those who are watching us, as Teresa Castro says, this is an example of prayer. It could be, but you could be also reading a message, reading one of Kardec's prayers at the back of the Gospel according to Spiritism.
Yes.
It could be a message and a prayer together. You know, it's up to you. It could be a beautiful prayer that you've heard about and you want to read it. That's up to you, okay? That is, so whatever you feel appropriate, you can submit, and that's going to be beneficial to all. So don't forget, friends, April 18th, National Day of Spiritism, info at spiritist.us is the email to submit it. We're going to stream at Kardec Radio 24/7 on that day, on that very day. And for the symposium, we're only 14 days away, and hopefully tomorrow we'll see you again with more on this beautiful organization that is happening two realms and transforming lives. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Karen Mark, again.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.